UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is coming to China, the first trip by a UK leader in 8 years. The aim is to improve the relations between the two nations. During his 3-day trip, he is planning to meet with President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. The idea is also to boost the investment and the trade with China, the world's second largest economy. He comes in a moment of strained ties with the US, and he is the latest leader of coming in recent days. Earlier this month, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was here, and the German Chancellor is expected to also come in February. But the UK Prime Minister visit risked a rift with Washington. After Mark Carney was here, President Donald Trump threatened Canada with a 100% tariff in all the Canadian goods. But the UK Prime Minister said that the UK doesn't have to choose between China and the US.
With your permission, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to make a statement on the national security considerations of China's proposal to build a new embassy at the Royal Mint Court in Tower Hamlets. I know that members will by now be well aware that the Secretary of State for Housing, Community and Local Government has approved China's planning application. Some right honourable members have been briefed by my security officials, and some members will have seen the statement from the Intelligence and Security Committee, as well as the letter from the Director General of MI5 and the Director General of GCHQ, subject to planning permission, and welcomed it as China's largest overseas investment. Now, given the potential for legal proceedings, it would not be appropriate to give a commentary on the grounds for the decision. In their decision, MHCLG notes that the package of security measures proposed would be proportionate to the proposed use of the site, and that no bodies with responsibility for national security, including the Home Office and the Foreign Office, have raised concerns or objected to the proposal on the basis of proximity of the cables or other underground infrastructure.
He's accompanied by a pack of British business leaders as he attempts to seek more access for UK businesses to the vast Chinese market, especially for financial services, luxury cars, and products like Scotch whisky. He also wants to tempt more Chinese investment into the British economy and to strike deals to work with China on important issues such as global health and climate change.
Other countries are also enabling or ignoring different kinds of undeclared action or cyber threats. And that is why today, with support from our international partners, we are also sanctioning 2 of the most egregious China-based companies, iSoon and Integrity Technology Group, for their vast and indiscriminate cyber activities against the UK and its allies. Attacks like this impact our collective security and our public services, yet those responsible operate often with little regard for who and what they target. And so we are ensuring this should not go unchecked, and our message to those who would seek to harm us is clear. We see you in the shadows, we know what you are doing, and we will defend ourselves and the international partnerships on which we depend. And it's partnerships with our allies across the world that have enabled these steps that we have taken today.
This is a significant trip. It's the first visit by a British Prime Minister to China since 2018. And it's an attempt by Starmer to put relations on a more even keel after a decade in which they went from a brief golden era, proclaimed by David Cameron when he was Prime Minister in 2015, to a deep chill as issues such as China's human rights record, its support for Russia in its war in Ukraine, the future of Taiwan, and claims about Chinese espionage in the UK have caused a real rift between the two countries.
Taking money from Ed Miliband's wasteful net zero projects and repurposing them to get the sort of drone capability that we need to fight today's wars, not the wars of 20 years ago. So accelerating lethal capability, we see what's happening in Ukraine. We need to make sure that we can fight that sort of war. Investing that money will be critical. But the second thing is to try and get Chinese components out of our supply chain as much as possible. We need sovereign capability, we need resilience. We can't rely on China to look after our defense. China is supplying both sides of the war in Ukraine. They're making a lot of money out of it. We need to make sure that we continue to invest in British manufacturing.
This is Keir Starmer's first trip to China as Prime Minister, but he's only the latest in a long string of Western leaders who are beating a path to President Xi Jinping's door. Canada's Mark Carney was there earlier this month, and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will follow next month. Part of the reason is President Donald Trump. The America First U.S. president has concerned longtime U.S. allies with his policies, including his derision for NATO and other long-standing alliances, the tariffs that he has slapped on competitors and allies alike, and recently his stated desire to acquire Greenland. Many leaders are thinking the U.S. is beginning to look like a slightly unreliable ally, and they are turning to other countries where they can for more, perhaps, predictable partners in some aspects.
热情接待我访问法国。当前，世界百年变局加速演进，人类又一次站在何去何从的十字路口。中法两国应当展现责任担当，高举多边主义旗帜，穿透。请马克龙总统先生对中国进行第四。
This is a high-stakes visit for Keir Starmer, who wants to put relations with China on a more stable and predictable footing, but also has to navigate some quite difficult political waters at home. He'll be raising some tricky human rights issues with the Chinese leadership, including the imprisonment of Jimmy Lai, a Hong Kong activist who's a British citizen. And while he wants to come back with a big package of investment and a lot of business deals to boost the UK economy, he'll also be wary of letting China into more sensitive corners of the British economy because of concerns about espionage by the Asian superpower.